In this video, we're going to review the Schema Editor in LP360. So I've already loaded my LAS data, my raster layer. I've already actually defined some stockpile toes, and I've already run a volume on that stockpile toe. So I've got my volume calculation that I wanted, but now I want to maybe define the material name, maybe add some additional attributes that aren't added automatically when I run my volumetric analysis point cloud task. So let's go ahead and look at the Schema Editor. That's how we're going to be able to do that. Now, before I go into the Schema Editor, I'm going to right click on my volume feature file in the table of contents. I'm going to go to Feature Analyst, so you can see when we run that volume for the name, this is just with the default settings. It's going to create a default as the name. So let's say you have 20, 30, 40 stockpiles. Every name is just going to say default. You can see our volume column there, so that's our volume calculation. When I ran this point cloud task, I added some additional output attributes, cut and fill volumes, so you can see those here. And then we have the units and map units. So the units would be what we chose here as the output volume units, and the map units, of course, is the units for our map. So if our data set was in meters, it would show up meters here. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. Now let's say I want to add some density values, or I want to add a column for a material description, something like that. So let's right click on volume again. This time we're going to go to Schema Editor instead of Feature Analyst. You can see all those columns that we saw in the Feature Analyst. So let's say I want to eliminate those cut and fill volumes. I was just using those for diagnostics. I'm not really interested in keeping that as a final attribute that I want to save or distribute to other people. So what we'll do is click on that attribute, and we're going to click on the X here at the top. I can also multi-select. I'm going to hold down Control and multi-select that cut and fill, those cut and fill attributes. So let's go ahead and remove those. It's just giving me a dialog warning me that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to click Yes. So now we've permanently removed those attributes from our Feature Analyst from our attributes. So just kind of clean that up, and let's go ahead and let's add some additional new attributes here. So we might want to have one called material code, maybe. A lot of our customers, they'll have a specific code that they need to save when they're distributing their volume calculations either internally or externally with their company. So we can go ahead and add a code column here. Okay. We have a name column. If, let's say, for whatever reason, you see I use this material code as the name. I'm not happy with that. I want to change it. So all you'll do is select the Modify Properties of Selected Field. So I've selected the schema that I wanted to edit, and you can see here you can rename it. So let's say I just want it to be called material description, something like that. Click OK, and now it's going to save that change that I made. One thing that's a lot of customers do as far as changing schemas in LP360, you can add a density in density unit columns. And the purpose of doing this, not only are you defining the density of the material, but we have another piece of software called Reckon. And when you import this shape file, this feature file into Reckon, and if you have the density and density units defined, it will automatically calculate the tonnage or the weight of that material, that stockpile material. So let's go ahead and add those. Density, okay. Density UNT. And just to mention before I get out of this, there's different types that you can use here too. So if it's just a number that you're adding, you just want it to be an integer, you can choose that here. So click OK. Alright, let's go ahead and click OK here. Now let's right click on volume up here and go to Feature Analyst. You can see those columns that I've added, so I can just double click, just click in these, and now I can define this. So let's say this is pile 1 for our stockpile. Material description, let's say it had a specific code, maybe 9871, something like this, just something that someone either internally or externally with the company associates with that pile, so they'll know the type of material it is, something like that. It could even be something like sand or crushed wrap, something like that. That's a common, for asphalt companies, that's a common thing that they'll define. Okay. Now for density, let's say I know the density in pounds per cubic foot, so let's say the density of this material is 100 pounds per cubic foot, and now I'm just going to go ahead and define that. So I'm clicking in these fields and just defining them. If you had a bunch of stockpiles, you could just click in all of them and define them that way. So we've got our pile name, we've got our volume, so we're not going to change that obviously. Material description, density and density units. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. I'm also going to, you need to make sure that you say this, what we're doing is we are actually editing the feature. We're not maybe editing the extents of the polygon, but we are changing the attributes. We're editing the attributes of the feature. So this is technically a feature edit, so we need to save it or discard it or undo it. I'm going to go ahead and save it. You can see this little floppy disk icon here in the top left. I'm going to confirm it. So now I can use publisher client with Reckon, upload this feature. Let's see what that will look like. I'm going to just zoom out just a touch. So you can see that stockpile. I think I just named it 1 in this example, and you can see that that weight has been automatically calculated. Now let's look at the PDF. This is just a PDF report that you can generate in Reckon. So you can see here I have my name, have my volume, and now it's got that material. This is just another material code, but the same concept here. I've got my material code here, and it's automatically calculated the weight because I provided the density and density units, and you can see it automatically created this density column over here too. So just to review, the Schema Editor dialog in LP360, it will allow you to add and delete and modify your schema fields. So you're basically adding or removing or renaming those columns that you see in the Feature Analyst. And then of course in Feature Analyst, this is going to allow us to create or modify those newly created attributes, so we can add some descriptions like we already did, or make any edits that we need to make.